You're listening to 17 Carat K-Pop. For more information about the variety of topics covered on the show, as well as my other podcast, How to Stan, visit 17caratkpop.weebly.com. And if you enjoy this episode, please consider becoming a monthly donor to support my work and allow it to continue to go on and be free for all to access for as low as 99 cents a month. Visit the Support the Show link on my site's homepage for more information. Hello everybody! Welcome to the latest edition of NCT Talk, a series of episodes I do as part of 17 Carat K-Pop. For today's episode, it will be a bit helpful to check out NCT Talk episode 9 if you didn't yet. But for the most part, I think this episode, even if you're brand new to NCT's music video universe, you can catch on pretty quickly. Because we are going back in time to what I believe, this is not confirmed, but I would be very shocked if it wasn't, what I believe to be an ultimate source of inspiration for the SM Entertainment cinematic universe more broadly, and the NCT chapter of that universe more specifically. I think a huge source of inspiration for that was the 1999 sci-fi classic The Matrix. And I've used the terms from it like breaking the Matrix, red pill versus blue pill, etc. on the show before when diving into my NCT theories. So I figured now's as good a time as any to recap what that movie is even all about. And as I do, I think the parts of the plot that I emphasize will really make NCTizens think, oh duh, that must be related. Then I will tie in NCT story specifically, but first, let's talk The Matrix. Keep in mind that NCT stands for Neoculture Technology. The Matrix stars a character named Thomas, who works under the alias Neo, and he is basically in a war against technology. The Matrix is basically this giant simulation that people live in, totally unaware of the fact it is a simulation. So it's just reality to them. They don't realize that it's this computerized, simulated reality constructed by the machines who won in a war that was humans versus machines. The machines won, and so they basically took the humans, started using their bodies as an energy source, and created this alternate reality. That's the very condensed version of it. Some film scholars analyze this movie and point out some possible religious undertones and philosophical underpinnings, but you could also just watch it not for the deep stuff, but for the slew of action-packed scenes, which drew inspiration from martial arts films. Maybe Kick It by NCT came to mind just now. The story starts with this police squad trying to take down Trinity, who is superhuman, so she uses her superpowers basically to get away from them. Then these agents come for this other guy, Thomas, aka Neo, his hacker alias. They end up taking him hostage, and the agents implant this robot bug in him. He thinks this was all just a bad dream, but then he finds out once the bug is removed from his stomach, oh my gosh, it really happened. Then this guy Morpheus offers Neo a red pill or a blue pill. If he takes the red pill, he will find out what this is. He will get the whole backstory about what is the Matrix, what has he been swept up in. The blue pill would just let him get back to normal. So basically he can escape his captivity, or he can kind of stay trapped but kind of feel freed because of this newfound awareness, and that's what he chooses. He takes the red pill and learns the truth. He wakes up in this pod of sorts among so many other humans in their separate pods. And they're all tied into this electrical system. Then he's taken onto this flying ship where Morpheus explains what happened, which is the 21st century humans versus machines war. There are some people who are free from the machine control right now, but they are hiding basically in this underground city of Zion. Morpheus is part of this group who is basically trying to save the plugged-in humans, to help unplug them, and make them free like the people hiding in the underground city. Morpheus is convinced that Neo is the One. The One is a label saved for a specific person viewed as written in the stars destined to basically free everybody who's trapped in these pods. Free all humans. There are a lot of fighting scenes, scenes where people betray each other to just have a free life away from people, just deserting the people they plan to help or sticking with them but therefore being tortured while they try to get them out. It's a very long story. While this spacecraft thing Morpheus was telling Neo the whole backstory on way earlier in the movie is under attack, that's when, in typical cinematic fashion, Trinity confesses her love for Neo. And now she says, this is absolutely clear that you are the one, because the Oracle told me, even though she told you, you may not be the one. She told me that I would fall in love with the one, and I'm in love with you. He basically wakes up from this dream within a dream, simulation within a simulation, reality of his. He wakes up and he has newfound abilities after that to control the Matrix, just like the prophecy said he was destined to do. The film ends where Neo makes a call. You have his word that he is going to show people who are still trapped that they can be free and introduced to, quote, a world where anything is possible. After making that promise on the phone, he hangs up and flies away. There was some required reading for everyone who worked on this movie, including Simulacra and Simulation, as well as some other books about technology, its evolution, and its impact on humanity. There are also some philosophical and literary references throughout the story, from a nod to the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, to concepts having to do with the self, and lots of mirrors, broken mirrors, rear view mirrors, all kinds of mirrors keep showing up throughout the movie, seeing reflections, reflected images. Even the computer coding was done with care and intention in this movie, with the computers with code on the screen intentionally having bright green font. As for the music in this movie, it was crafted with keeping in mind who is winning currently in the battle. So the sound really was changed a lot based on if humans were winning or if machines were in charge in that moment. The starship was designed to basically reflect this man and machine merging, which is why all the wires and inner workings of the pods were visible. They were very carefully detailed to show visually this hard-to-separate connection between man and machine. Interestingly, Jean Baudrillard, the philosopher who wrote Simulacra and Simulation, came out and said, hey, the Matrix totally distorts my message. Nevertheless, that reading was meant to, in some ways, shape the foundation of this movie. But I just find that an important caveat. That maybe they twisted some of the main messages in that book, but it's still valuable to unpack this story nonetheless. Lastly, Morpheus has this very standout quote to me, where he is paraphrasing a philosopher and asks Neo, quote, have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference from the real world and the dream world? Alright, let's step back now and highlight some of the parts of the Matrix that definitely bring to mind NCT. We've got the signature color green, we've got the green codes on the computer screens, we have them in rooms in teaser images for this latest album, where you see all the wires and gadgets and stuff. There's the name of the main character, Neo. At one point a guy jumps out the window, making me think both of Taeyeon in the regular video and Win-Win in that video, as well as Win-Win basically falling through a black hole of sorts in Simon Says. There are the pills offered to the Wavy members in one of their videos. 14 total, and there are 7 of them. 2 offered to each person, presumably. Maybe red pill, blue pill. References to outer space, spaceships, the moon, that whole interstellar element here comes to mind when thinking about this spaceship. There's this emphasis on the title, The One, making me think of Super M's Super One era. There are the superpowers here, which are a big part of NCT's world. They levitate, they fly, they feel like they can fly anyways, they get suspended in the air, teleportation, they have a lot of superhuman skills. There are some of his final words in the movie where he says on a call, he's creating a world where anything is possible. There are the nods to Alice in Wonderland, this upside-down world. We've talked about those NCT connections before. But a new one I will point out is that the designer the NCT members wore in some of their sticker promo pictures designed that new collection, drawing inspiration directly from Alice in Wonderland. He confirmed that was an inspiration. Mirrors, reflections, we've talked about on this show a lot before. All the times mirrors, reflections of you, or even clones of you completely are a part of NCT's story. Broken mirrors, broken glass. There's the music itself, which does seem to go back and forth depending on which NCT subunit is quote-unquote in charge. The movie has a ton of explosives, breaking glass, bringing to mind all of the smoke and fire, and breaking glass in NCT's videos. And lastly, that philosopher quote, where Morpheus asks, have you ever been so stuck in a dream, you lost track of what was real and what was not? And that, as I've said on basically every previous episode of NCT Talk, as well as the episode dedicated to the SM entertainment world as a whole, the crux of their story is rooted in that concept of dream within a dream, or a show within a show, or a show within a dream within a show. So many dimensions of reality and dimension hopping. This sense of what's a dream, what's real, blending in their videos 4D, 3D, 2D elements, blending the cartoonish with the live action, blending stories about superpowers with stories that are just profoundly normal and human, references everywhere about waking up, mixed with a bunch of references about being trapped in this dream, not knowing how to find clarity and find your way out of it. And they have really been questioning what's real for a long time. They're struggling as characters in their cinematic universe of sorts to distinguish, because there's all this back and forth. They don't know what they're capable of, what powers they have, what they truly can or cannot control. I mean, they have songs about dreaming and waking up, but then they also have lyrics like, in Boom, my dream is now reality, now I freely fly. In Countdown, we might explode this confined dream. In Rainbow, dreaming again, this will begin again over and over countless times. References to glitching and stuff like in Rainbow, one day my passing self became blurry. In Misfit, it's time to wake up and fly away. In Make-A-Wish, I show my dream on the surface. In Go, if no one can understand me, my dream will make you understand. This isn't just my monologue, we're dreaming together. In the Regulate album interlude, all that we see is but a dream within a dream. The official description for the Regular Irregular album referenced a, quote, highly conceptualized compilation of tracks that bridge the dream world with reality. Then there's Go, Diggity, Deja Vu, Seventh Sense, Take Off. All these videos where there's glitching, blurring images, like a glitch in the Matrix moment. Some moments that really stand out to me and bring home this theme more than any other moments. Videos like We Yun and Turn Back Time, where a member is seen actually inside the TV. Haechan breaking the screen in Cherry Bomb felt like a really major moment. He's literally breaking through. References to birthdays, like Yuta holding the cake in the 127 video for Boom, Jisung blowing out a birthday candle, Jisung getting a new candle from Mark, the reference to birthday candles, parties, celebrations, milestones, plus a look back. Remember, there have been times where, like in We Go Up, where an hourglass is a key symbol, clocks, watches, etc. Then, of course, you had all the baby pictures on the wall in one of the latest rounds of teaser images, which just made me think that we're supposed to question where in the timeline this new release really fits. Oh, and then there's another really great reference to messing with the passage of time that once again ties back to Alice in Wonderland. The author of Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll, famously said, I can't go back to yesterday because I was a different person then. Like you start each day so fresh and new. And in Yesterday, Taeyeon says, I'm sorry for yesterday, but today's me doesn't know you. I need the courage to break through and wake me up from this dream. Plus, a key symbol seems to be that big elevator of sorts that I think is a time machine that was very prominent, especially in the 2020 Resonance eras. There are nods to using cameras, movie projectors, putting on a show, being in an auditorium, tons of places where there are just tons of rows of empty seats. Next thing we really need to unpack is a great bridge between their Resonance 2020 eras and the brand new album sticker. Their monologue called The Past and Future says, quote, "We're imputed to the community while living under a lot of influence, which makes general world of conscious just a buildup of sediments from these influences. Beyond the horizon of the sediment, there is another world, named the unconscious. This world is a world made of filtered events, emotions, which are defectors that only respond to I. In the conscious world, it keeps expanding limitlessly, from the deep sea, beyond the infinite universe, created by filtration from the sea of unconscious. It is also a limitless medium, and can connect dimension to dimension, people within people, emotions within emotions. We spread ether infinitely through new journeys." Unquote. Alright, let's talk about some of the phrases and words used there. There are 4 big definitions of ether, and all 4 seem to tie back into The Matrix or NCT's work. In chemistry, ether refers to a type of liquid that is highly flammable. Remember all the fire and smoke I referenced earlier? In literature, ether refers to this upper area beyond the clouds in the sky, like a dream world beyond your imagination. In physics, ether is referred to as a substance that can permeate all space, even within particles. It can spread infinitely, as they said in the monologue. And the very, very original definition of ether is, quote, "a substance believed to occupy space beyond the sphere of the moon." So in all these cases, we're referring to a dimension of reality, maybe the 7th sense, the 7th direction of reality, the 7th dimension here, where they spread ether indefinitely, where they do control and have broken free from the Matrix. They're in some brand new higher dimension, where their impact is, pun intended, limitless. That monologue also references what they call an event horizon. The technical definition of an event horizon is this area around a black hole, the threshold where the velocity is going to be surpassed the speed of light. Basically, the absolute scientifically possible limit is where the event horizon occurs. The monologue also references the sea of unconscious. And this sea is something that Carl Jung has talked about in his psychology and philosophy papers. He describes the sea of unconscious as a way to describe your unconscious mind as totally separate from your conscious one. And that is why this whole story is about reconnecting and making your unconscious mind conscious of your true surroundings. That disconnect is where the Matrix thrives and overpowers. He compared unconsciousness to the sea because the sea is basically endlessly creating and recreating creatures of sorts and replenishing itself in a way. Again, keyword, limitless. Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Unquote. Another major quote of his from a lecture he gave in the 1930s, quote, "We cannot judge dreams from the conscious point of view, but can only think of them as complementary to consciousness. Dreams answer the questions of our conscious. We are not far from the truth. In fact, we are very near. When we think of our dreams as answers to questions, which we have asked and which we have not asked." Basically saying, the answers lie in your dreams. And NCT Story is all about following those dreams to find the answers, to break out of this matrix. Also worth noting from the title track video here, there are lyrics about the worlds converging, you being a main character in a story like a movie, forgetting about the troubling world and kind of creating your own alternative, recording this new history. Obviously, a lot of this is just romantic lyrics about creating a love story, but still, like a grown-up child chasing a dream that seems significant. I love this melodrama. Without you, there's no audience. There's also a warning sign in the background. Reminded me of all the warnings that were part of the 2020 Resonance teasers. They are on red alert at this point. Again, I know a lot of these lyrics I could be reading way too much into. That's part of the fun and why I think it's so cool how NCT is always so reinventing themselves and simultaneously being so NCT. And repeating a lot of the same themes in brand new ways time and time and time again. With all of this in mind, now let's take a closer look at both the sticker teaser videos and images and all the new music video content. Things that seemed irrelevant now suddenly seem not so much. The scenes in the sticker teaser images include Haechan with his video camera, which he also has in the new Dreamer video. Again, it's that flipping the script, that confusing of, wait, who's filming who, what's a movie, and what is real life? Obviously, the computer screens full of neon green code are a signature for them. A key number I described the meaning of last time is the number 9. Looking further into it, apparently the symbolic nature of the number 9 comes down to completion. So this is the moment where they are basically breaking through and solving the puzzle in a way. And we have yet another screen-breaking moment of note, because thanks to the new video for Sticker, we saw Mark do just that as well. Some other visible numbers in the teaser content: 33, 20, and 295. 33 is considered an angel number, a super special number. 20 is symbolic of this sign of encouragement. I'll link to some numerology sites on my website, by the way, after this. But the numerology of 20 has to do with dreaming big, considered a big spiritual message carrier for people that brings them hope and encouragement to persevere. So 9 brings clarity, 33 brings just good luck, I guess, because it's an angel number. 20 has to do with the motivation to dream limitlessly. And number 295 is representative of wisdom, intuition, and curiosity. Another thing worth taking a closer look at, the fashion. Not just because the line has the Alice in Wonderland inspiration, but the phrases that Jaehyun wears on his clothes basically come together to tell the whole plot of The Matrix. It says redux, which means like to revisit, bring back. Odyssey, referring to a long eventful journey. Children of the Revolution, referring to the generation that rises up after some big revolution, like maybe humans getting the chance to fight back again. Exit and enclosure. Doesn't that just sum up the vibes of this whole movie? I Love You, a redux, Odyssey, Children of the Revolution, an exit, but also dealing with an enclosure. And the time machine thing does definitely bring to mind to me the Matrix pods. Doyeon also wears a Children of the Revolution message on his clothes. One button that some of them wear says question everything, ambiguous enough to apply here. And ultimately the theme persists. The official statement about this new album says that the title track, quote, contains the message that we will write our own history. Some old symbols are back once again in this new string of NCT music videos. In the video for Lemonade, the metal fencing that has been around for Misfit, Limitless, and the Past and Future monologue. There's also some fencing in New Heroes, actually, in the background. That fencing is back, but this time it's set on fire. So we have two symbols colliding, and then maybe a third if it's overall representative of destroying the cage and breaking out. The birthday party persists. One of the train compartments in the Dreamer video is just full of streamers and balloons. Flags are once again a big deal. They plant their flags in different settings throughout their videos. Obvious symbolism there, and Taeyeon is the one to hold up a flag, which is bright yellow. Bright yellow seems to be their latest color to focus on. There was the color of the motorcycles in the Kick It video, the color of the car Jaehyun drove in the regular video. In the new video for Lemonade, we have yellow flag, yellow motorcycle, and yellow Jeep. Plus, in the new video for Magic Carpet Ride, there's a lot of luggage thrown around the room. There were also suitcases in the Resonance 2020 teaser images, and that could lead me down a tangent I will save for another day, but I do see that as a parallel. The emphasis on travel and moving is a part of SHINee's SM Entertainment Cinematic Universe chapter as well. Remember, in the latest Don't Call Me comeback, there were suitcases. As well as Your Fence Set on Fire, spaceships, and other tie-ins. The color green keeps showing up. In the Lemonade video, a puff of bright green smoke shows up behind Taeyeon after lightning strikes. Jaehyun is riding that bright yellow motorcycle. So fast everything around him becomes a blur. All the blurring and glitching seems to continue to be noteworthy. So overall, the newest videos from them, I think the key details to focus on in them: symbols of a party, travel, the color bright yellow, fire, fencing, caging, gates, and then of course references to dreaming or waking up. And we have that questioning once again of who's really behind the camera lens, who's filming who, thanks to Haechan. And also, in the video for Sticker, there is a lot of neon lighting, and they're kind of in like a rodeo pen of sorts, like they're about to ride a mechanical bull or something. And something about the whole aesthetics of the new video feels very in line with this theme for them of what is happening and how real is it? Is this a dream? How many levels deep of a dream within a dream are we now? Especially when you just take in the picture from a bird's eye view, it definitely looks like they're performing outside of some sort of cinema. There's this really interesting quote from a physicist, Werner Heisenberg, that I've been thinking about a lot lately. Quote, "The old compartmentalization into an objective process in space and time, on the one hand, and the soul in which this process is mirrored on the other, is no longer suitable to the starting point for the understanding of modern science. There appears above all the network of relations between man and nature, of the connections through which we as physical beings are dependent on parts of nature, and at the same time, as human beings, make them the object of our thought and action." The referring to a mirrored image of what we're doing is what really stuck out to me, pun intended. Quick crash course on this Heisenberg guy. He basically created for physics this uncertainty principle, which refers to how specifically and accurately you can determine the various states of groupings of particles. The place where the limit is to how certain you can be about the actual definition of something, and the actual way to articulate how that something is connected to something else. He also described this yin and yang effect because the more precisely you can predict a particle's position, the less you can predict its momentum, and vice versa. Which is just to me a great metaphor for life, and how just as you think you have an answer, a new question may arise still. Which goes back to the symbolism of the number 295 and this sense of insatiable curiosity. What's interesting though is that this guy's work came to mind when I was reading more about the theories behind the Matrix, papers I will link to as always through my newsletter. Yet, he actually ended up creating this theory that ran contrary to classic mechanics. He basically laid a foundation for quantum mechanics. Classical mechanics is viewed as very different, but very similar to Matrix mechanics. So that was just an ironic twist as I was researching. What does this directly have to do with NCT? He created two principles that I think really sum up what NCT's story is. It doesn't mean they intentionally referenced his work, but it's very interesting nonetheless. The similar message here. There's the measurement equals meaning principle, and the measurement equals creating principle. Measurement equals meaning refers to how words of measurement, like the position of a particle, is not a thing until you can actually measure it. If you have no mechanism to measure particle position, then that concept of measuring it doesn't exist yet. Then there's the measurement equals creation principle, which means something is real in a physical sense. And therefore, of course, you can measure it because it's visible and it exists as this tangible thing. What they say outside of a physics context is that words don't have meaning until they have an enforcement of sorts. If you can't use a word and actually use it to an effect, if it has zero effect, that word is meaningless. If you can't activate its meaning. An NCT story is all about activating the unconscious and connecting it to your conscious, taking the dreams and making them reality, and figuring out how to gauge what is in the matrix and what is broken out of it, what's super real and conscious, and what's actually unconscious. And figuring out that puzzle will reveal so many answers because it also, in the process, reveals the measurement that leads to that meaning being actualized. He also alludes to this hidden reality in his writing. There are tons of other directions I could take this, but those are just some bits and pieces of things I'll elaborate on in future episodes of NCT Talk about how their story actually has been modeled in books and movies before, and they're just taking their own unique spin on the concept that runs deeper than you think. I could also go on and on about Elvis Toffler, who basically created the concept of future shock, which is the wording on Mark's sweatshirt in the teaser images, by the way. Future shock refers to that sense of panic because the future of technology is moving at hyperspeed and we just can't adjust to it fast enough. I could also go more into the philosophy of Immanuel Kant, which I will do at another date. He was cited as an influence on The Matrix. He is relevant here because his basic premise boils down to we deceive ourselves easily. Combining the unconscious with the conscious is way harder than it sounds. And so we have to actively seek those answers about what's real and what's not. And if we're not seeking them, we're not going to find them. Plus there's Plato's allegory of the cave, which I've elaborated on in the Taman episodes of the show, so I won't again here, but that's another rabbit hole you could go down, drawing connections if you'd like. So 2 things to look out for in the future. One is not clear answers yet about NCT's story, because what's nice about a dream within a dream concept in media is that you can keep the storyline going endlessly, because there could be just another layer of dream to escape from. So I don't think we're ready for full clarity just yet. Whenever it feels like we are, I think they're going to make us hold off longer. The second thing to keep in mind going forward is the symbolism of the fans, like ceiling fans. Fans is in the actual object, the windmills of the home, because I noticed that the big symbol tease for aespa's upcoming comeback looks a lot like a fan. That purple image looks like a fan to me, and that reminded me of the wall of fans in some of the Resonance teaser content and in the video for Raiden. So keep the fans in mind, and keep in mind the layers of dreams here could be still ongoing. As for my review of this new album and video, I wrote an essay about my love for NCT's music and how it really does have such a powerful effect on me and my life on an essay on howtostand.substack.com. But that's kind of an early draft. I've decided I have a lot more to say about that. Lots of those points I want to elaborate on. Stay tuned for much more of my thoughts on NCT and the album by subscribing to my free newsletter, howtostand.substack.com, to not miss it in your inbox. But I will just tease a little of my thesis. What they do with their albums that is so incredible is they mix everything and make it sound good and cohesive. It could be so easy. They always release songs that are so close to being awful, but they take this cornucopia of sound effects and synths and pianos and drums and industrial sounds and everything and turn it into something endlessly catchy. It's truly impressive and makes their music one of a kind. So even if you want to not be a super fan like me and really dive into the lore of it all, just listening to the music itself, I highly recommend. You'll still get a kick out of it. There's a song for everyone on the album. There's some R&B, there's 808s, dance pop, some house music inspiration, ballads. They've got it all. And they also have it all, not just song to song in their work, but even lyric to lyric. They changed things up, they add little details like a little ad-lib here and there, or a riff of an instrument, chanting, something. And all of those little quirky sonic and lyric details combine to form songs that are so unique and have their clear mark on them. They personalize and create a genre all their own in the process that manages to be consistently so NCT of them, you could say. It's a signature sound, yet it is always so new and different. They walk that tightrope so incredibly well, and their videos also have just the perfect amount of over-the-topness to be visually stimulating and entertaining, and for people like me who are totally nerding out, dissecting, and analyzing. Again, there's something for everyone, for every type of music listener, for every type of viewer, for every type of fan. So this is another jam-packed, classic NCT release. I could not recommend more. Again, track by track, I will break down a lot more on future episodes of the show, but I just got really excited to share my theories and some more Matrix-related tie-ins and background info today, because it all came really to the forefront of my mind, watching all the sticker teaser content as it came in, and then some. That wraps up today's NCT talk. Thank you so much, NCT. Really incredible music, as always. Really just makes my day, and just keeps me company to be vulnerable for a second. Which I will write about more in the essay, not to get too wishy-washy, but I go on nerdy rants like this, and so obviously I am a pretty friendless and lonely person at times. So to have music and videos that are such a nice company and escape really, really means the world to me. Especially being on the autism spectrum and struggling to interact with people, to communicate with them, to feel like I have this escape and this outlet just takes on even more importance to me and more meaning to me, and I really am grateful beyond words for that. Alright, sappiness over. I'm out. Thanks to you all for listening. Talk to you all again very, very soon.